monsters. Why?
Access. Good evening. My name is Dan Larson. I am Chair of the Wheat Ridge Planning Commission, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we begin, here are a few notes about our meeting format. Tonight's Planning Commission meeting is being held online. Commissioners, Planning Department staff, and members of the public are attending by way of the Zoom platform on the Wheat Ridge City Zoom account. Although we are not obliged to, Planning Commission has followed the lead of City Council and suspended in-person meetings through February. With the decline in positivity rates in Jefferson County, we are looking forward to returning to in-person meetings in March. In addition to online via Zoom, we're also broadcasting this meeting on Channel 8 and wheatridgespeaks.org. Members of the public may speak to the commission by raising your hand on Zoom or by calling in. A Zoom meeting link and dial-in information is available on wheatridgespeaks.org. When it is time for public comment, and there are 2 public comment periods tonight, those who wish to comment on our Zoom connection, please use the raise your hand button. If you are dialing in, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute your phone. If you plan to speak online tonight, please keep background noise to a minimum. If you do not plan to speak, we recommend you simply view the meeting live by watching on Channel 8 or on wheatridgespeaks.org. We appreciate your participation in tonight's meeting, and we hope to create a friendly and respectful atmosphere for public dialogue. We appreciate your help in this process. I would now like to call to order the City of Wheat Ridge Planning Commission meeting for February 17th, 2022. First, the second item on our agenda tonight is a roll call of our members. May I get a roll call of the members, please?
Shahi Sambai.
Here.
Christine Disney.
Here.
Melissa Antol.
Here.
Will Kearns.
Here.
Janet Leo.
Here.
And Daniel Larson.
Here.
That
The
is
next
it.
item on our, we have 6 commissioners attending tonight, correct?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please virtually stand up and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item is approval of the order of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the order of tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the order of the agenda.
Second. Is there a second? Thank you. Any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Raise your hand if you approve the order of tonight's agenda.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we will vote to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on January 20th, 2022.
I move that we approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Is there a second? Commissioner Kern, thank you. We'll call for a vote. Raise your hand if you approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I abstain.
Motion passed 5-0 with 1 abstaining.
Thank you.
Janet.
We will now open the general interest public forum segment of our agenda. This is the time for any person to speak on a subject that is not on tonight's agenda. If you plan to speak on an item on tonight's public hearing agenda, please wait until the hearing for that item. All speakers are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Speakers may not donate their time. If you plan to speak, please give us your name, spell your last name, and share your address. I will now open the public forum. Is there anyone who has raised their hand for the general interest public forum?
There might be a couple. If you would like to speak on anything other than what's on the agenda tonight, please raise your hand by clicking raise hand. Otherwise, press *9 if you're on the phone, and that will raise your hands. And I'm not seeing anybody so far.
We'll give what may be the appropriate amount of time for people to find that raise your hand button,
Or press *9 if you're on the phone.
or press *9.
Nobody has raised their hands.
Thank you, Tammy. I will now close the general public interest part of our agenda for the evening. Our first item tonight is case number WZ 2113. This is an application filed by Lifetime Inc. for approval of a specific development plan for property zoned planned mixed-use development located at Clear Creek Crossing. I would like to again welcome members of the public to our hearing. It is important that this hearing be conducted in a dignified and civil manner. Our goal, as always, is to create a friendly and respectful atmosphere for public dialogue. We appreciate your help in this process. We start all public hearings with a presentation from staff, and in some cases, a presentation by the applicant. After the presentations, commissioners will ask questions of staff and the applicant. After that, we'll invite members of the public to raise their hand and comment during the citizens forum. I will turn it over to staff. Is there a staff presentation?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Senior Planner Stephanie Stevens, please.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and I will get going with the presentation. Okay. So my name is Stephanie Stevens and I'm a planner with City of Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. I'm presenting case number WZ 2113, which is a request for approval of a specific development plan for construction of a Lifetime Fitness facility at 3501 Clear Creek Drive. I'd like to enter into the public record the contents of the case file, the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and this digital presentation. Properties within the City of Wheat Ridge, all appropriate notification and posting requirements have been met, and therefore Planning Commission has jurisdiction to hear this case. The subject site is located on the west side of Clear Creek Drive, south of Clear Creek Drive and 40th Avenue intersection. It's considered Planning Area 5 and a portion of Planning Area 6 of Clear Creek Crossing. The west side of Clear Creek Drive is currently entirely vacant, but we do have several land use applications in for review, and there's a couple of surrounding uses. So some of the land use applications we have in now, the first one is on the upper north side of the west portion of Clear Creek Drive, and that is in for an apartment, a second phase of the Outlook apartments that are on the east side. The next one we have in is Hampton Inn, moving south, Hampton Inn Hotel that will be coming before you all. And then we have Jefferson County Residential is located southwest of the site, Coors Pond to the west, I-70 Hook Ranch to the east, and the 70 West Business Center planned commercial development is located south of the site and also vacant. So planning areas 5 and 6 of Clear Creek Crossing are designated as the Harvest District, denoting this area as a commercial sub-district of the development. It's surrounded by mixed use and commercial plan development zoning north, west, and south. Site is located, and then to the southwest is the Jefferson County Residential. The request for SDP approval is the second step in a two-part approval process pertaining to plan development. The first step occurred in 2018 when Planning Commission and Council approved the Clear Creek Crossing Plan Mixed Use Outline Development Plan, which established the zoning. The zone change also included approval of a vision book and design pattern book, which establishes more architectural themes. The design pattern book also includes the more substantive development regulations. And also an architectural control committee was established by this zoning. It's for the Clear Creek Crossing development, and it's comprised of members of both city staff and the developer, the master developer, to ensure consistency across the projects and third-party review. The ACC has provided their recommendation of approval. The applicant is requesting to build an approximately 111,000 square foot building and 41,400 square foot amenity deck on the 12.2 acres. The primary use is classified as indoor and outdoor recreation, which is permitted in these planning areas. And in the ODP, these planning areas were divided into distinct planning areas, primarily because of grade challenges and required shared access to the parcel to the south. It was anticipated that these constraints would have required separate development lots with separate access. Through an iterative design process between the applicant and the city, the developable portions of these planning areas have been combined to achieve a preferred design which accommodates the topography and meets access and development goals of the underlying zoning. The site also takes into consideration adequate vehicular access, planning area connectivity, connections to the trail, and pedestrian connections north and south. So starting with access, there's 2 points of access proposed to Clear Creek Drive on the north side and the south side of the site. The primary site access from the north will come from the private street that connects, it's a utility corridor as well, that connects the signalized intersection at 40th and Clear Creek Drive. A second direct driveway access is also provided south of the site. The access points will direct vehicles and pedestrians through a main drive, which cuts through the middle of the site and lies between the building and parking areas. The SDP shows the building and amenity deck situated on the west side of the site, with parking located adjacent to Clear Creek Drive and surface lots. Vehicular and pedestrian connections are provided throughout the site, and they're shown in red and yellow respectively on this slide. There are 525 total parking spaces proposed, which are broken up into smaller lots by way of internal street-like drives and screened from Clear Creek Drive by grading and landscaping. The grade on the site drops 10 to 20 feet below Clear Creek Drive. A 20-foot setback is required along the southwest portion of the site adjacent to the residential, and it's shown in orange on the screen. Setback requirements are imposed by the design pattern book, and the lifetime building complies with those standards. The SDP also complies with all grading, utilities, drainage, and traffic plans. Multiple site constraints were balanced, including 55 feet of elevation change across the site, a regional stormwater bypass system, a future regional trail corridor, and the relocation of the Applewood sanitary sewer interceptor. The site was ultimately laid out to balance earthwork while maintaining manageable slopes throughout the perimeter of the site. Rather than constructing large retaining walls, the site plan takes advantage of the topography by incorporating large rolling landscape buffers. To ensure that the rolling hill effect is achieved, staff has provided a recommended condition of approval to require periodic inspections of grading. The project far exceeds the minimum requirements for the 20% of the gross lot size to be landscaped by utilizing parking lot landscape islands, as well as frontages and buffers for trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses, and perennials. The site plan is over 40% landscaped, largely comprised of bands of drought-tolerant native seed and landscape screening at the perimeter of the site with more formal planting beds, framing the building foundation and site amenities. Utility corridors prevented some tree plantings within landscape islands, but have been relocated elsewhere on site. Small retaining walls were added along the southwest of the site to avoid steep slopes. The area with the rolling hill effect will be primarily landscaped with native plantings. A public plaza and trail connection are proposed along the west side, northwest side of the site to be constructed by the master developer under separate permits. The architectural style is driven by the Clear Creek Crossing Design Pattern Book and Vision Book, which call for a modern agrarian aesthetic that blends the traditional agrarian forms and materials with a modern feel. It requires strong attention to be paid to the pedestrian realm. The building is proposed to be approximately 60 feet tall, and architecture is comprised primarily of brick, stone, metal panel, and glass. The materials carry over to the north, west, and south elevations, resulting in four-sided architecture. The building form considers both pedestrian realm and distant views, with trellis elements along the main entry and projecting elements utilizing varied materials at main focal points. The building is accentuated using corner elements, enhanced entries, changes to material, and architectural expression. Overall facade transparency on the street-facing facade meets requirements of the design pattern book. This architecture has evolved throughout the review based on staff feedback, and materials provided in the packet show how the detailed standards are being met. Here's a perspective view from Clear Creek Drive. The parking lot sits 10 to 20 feet below the street, so surface lots will not be so prominent. And here's a view from the trail. The trail then sits 10 to 20 feet below the site. The trail will be constructed by the master developer and will be required to be in place prior to certificate of occupancy for lifetime. Since Wheat Ridge is not a full service city, we sent the application on referral to fire, sanitation, and water districts, as well as completed our internal review. We did not receive objections from outside agencies, and coordination with these districts is ongoing. Civil construction documents are nearing approval, and the plat is currently under review. A recommended condition of approval has been placed to ensure that the SDP matches the plat. Before the hearing, the property was posted for 15 days, and letters were sent to property owners and residences within a 600-foot radius. And the project was posted to Wheat Ridge Speaks. One comment was received on Wheat Ridge Speaks pertaining to the building location and lack of orientation to the street. The ODP and development standards for this particular location and Clear Creek Crossing do not require orientation to the street, presumably due to challenging grades and site constraints. With that, staff finds that the SDP is consistent with the ODP and is in compliance with all standards set forth in the ODP Design Pattern Book and City Code. The SDP is consistent with the purpose of a planned development, and all agencies conserve the property. Ultimately, staff is recommending approval with conditions as listed in the staff report. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is also planning to present, and we're both here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And are we going to have a live discussion from the applicant, or will we be reviewing the video?
He will also be going live. David, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Sorry, it kicked me out when I joined as a panelist briefly, but.
David, would you mind please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address, please?
Sure. My name is David Modrow. That's M-O-D-R-O-W. And I am located at 4317 Blenheim Circle in Minnetonka, Minnesota.
Thank you.
In one moment, I'm going to set up the presentation.
Real quick, can you spell the street name? Sorry.
Yeah, it's B as in boy, Lenheim, Circle.
Perfect. And you said Minnetonka.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, can everyone see my presentation all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, good evening, commissioners and city staff. My name is Dave Madra with the Property Development Group at Lifetime. We're excited to propose a new club destination in the city of Wheat Ridge within the Clear Creek Crossing Outline Development Plan. Lifetime seeks approval for a specific development plan, including 12.2 acres within planning areas 5 and 6 of the Harvest District. Before I get into the details of the application package, I want to take a moment to provide a bit of background on Lifetime and why we are excited to be bringing a new location to the city of Wheat Ridge. Lifetime was founded in 1992 by our current CEO when our first facility opened in the Minneapolis area. At the time, the fitness industry was based on selling as many memberships as possible with little regard for the member experience. We chose to set ourselves apart by providing a second-to-none experience in a resort-like environment and by continually changing ourselves to earn our members' business. Over the years, we have evolved our business into a comprehensive health and wellness company that focuses on healthy programs, services, and events that encompass the entire spectrum of daily life for everyone from young families to busy professionals. Our focus on providing luxury amenities under one roof has allowed us to grow into a company that currently operates over 150 destinations across the United States and Canada. This location is now primed to be our 8th destination in the Denver area. We're particularly excited to bring a new location to Wheat Ridge because the demographic and the lifestyle exhibited by this community exemplifies the vision of our Healthy Way of Life company. The overall vision for Lifetime is to help communities and individuals achieve their health and athletic aspirations by engaging them in activities they love. We seek to accomplish this by providing the best places, best people, and best programs that we hope change lives positively every day. I'd like to primarily focus on the first of those 3 pillars, the best places. The scale of our buildings is driven by the extent of programming that is a functional need of full-service athletic facility. However, the focus on member experience is never overlooked with our clubs, featuring pedestrian-scale design and extensive landscaping along our front entries. Lifetime as a brand has been continually developing and evolving its building designs to exceed expectations of both its members and the public. Consistent with the product offered, our buildings are constructed using timeless, durable materials, including brick, stone, metal, and glazing. Upon entering the building, the high-end feel and quality materials continue with custom millwork, glass, natural stones, and tile. The first stop as you walk in is the reception desk, where all visitors to our public amenities are greeted and members are checked in. On the first floor, you'll find the Life Cafe Lounge, and access to our outdoor patios, where you can enjoy chef-crafted meals or grab-and-go healthy takeout options. From top to bottom, you'll find resort-like amenities throughout the club. We offer a full-service day spa where you can receive head-to-toe pampering and feature luxurious whirlpools and saunas inside the locker room. The resort feeling continues through the club, featuring an indoor lap pool, and expands outdoors with the outdoor amenity deck, complete with additional lap swimming, a zero-entry leisure pool, expansive lounge seating, water slides, and a poolside bistro. Moving through the club, you'll find that we have a fitness floor with hundreds of pieces of fitness equipment, from cardio to strength training, to ensure there's something for everyone. And you can't have a second to none experience in our clubs without the help of some of the best trainers and fitness instructors in the industry. Our passionate instructors offer a wide array of classes and programs that move with the latest trends. So whether your passion is yoga, group fitness, Pilates, or basketball, we want to engage you in a community within our club and inspire you to stay committed to a healthy lifestyle. While you're off enjoying the rest of the facility, our Lifetime Kids Academy will feature program spaces for arts, language, and fitness classes to ensure your kids are enjoying their time at the club as much as you are. The entire Lifetime Property Development team is excited to present our newest flagship addition to the Denver market at the beautiful Clear Creek Crossing development here in Wheat Ridge. Through thoughtful collaboration with city staff, the Architectural Control Committee, and the neighbors to the south, we have developed a plan that embraces the guiding documents while respecting the rolling topography and the scenic view sheds that make this a picturesque location for our healthy way of life destination. The Clear Creek Crossing Outline Development Plan, Design Pattern Book, and Vision Book have shaped our specific development plan application. The proposed lifetime use of a commercial recreational facility is an allowed use in planning areas 5 and 6 of the Harvest District. For this presentation, I'll focus on the 4 foundations of design integration that shaped our application: site planning, multimodal connectivity, landscaping and grading, and building design. Through multiple iterations of prototypes and varying orientations, the proposed site was designed to meet the requirements and intent of the guiding documents. During the planning stages, specific priorities were made to provide a sense of arrival from the I-70 freeway, to preserve the spectacular view corridors of the mountainous skyline, to embrace the existing topography of the site, and provide robust landscape buffers to transition from the residential uses to the south and southwest. The resulting lifetime site plan orients its front door to the east and its outdoor amenities to the west. This orientation engages the 3-story, 65-foot tall building with the community as it sits prominently just west of the I-70 ramp intersection with Clear Creek Drive. This orientation provides a spectacular sense of arrival to the Clear Creek Crossing development. With the front door oriented east, the outdoor amenity deck takes advantage of the scenic mountain skyline and the majestic Coors holding pond to the west. Rather than constructing large obtrusive retaining walls to address the significant grade change, the site plan embraces the topography of the site and incorporates large rolling landscape buffers from our neighbors to the south and west. The resulting site plan is over 40% landscape, and that's doubling the 20% requirement. This site rendering was created to capture the view shed as you exit the I-70 hook ramps onto Clear Creek Drive. The Lifetime Anchor building provides an unmistakable sense of arrival to the Clear Creek Crossing development. Consistent with the guiding documents, there are 2 primary vehicular access points to the site. Access from the north is provided by a shared private driveway network fed by 2 signalized intersections along Clear Creek Drive to the north. The proposed internal street will extend through the Lifetime site to the south before heading back east to intersect with Clear Creek Drive at the second access point. This internal street network provides a strong continuous connection of planning areas 5, 6, and 7 that were not seen in previous Harvest District site plan iterations. The Southern Access Drive has been designed to provide safe and convenient access to the Clear Creek Crossing development, as well as the undeveloped 70 West Business Center outparcel to the south. Lifetime has collaborated with the 70 West Business Center representatives to coordinate the best point of access that balances traffic concerns, as well as the change of elevation between the 2 properties. An access and utility easement will be provided by a plat to memorialize that agreement. As part of the SDP application, a trip generation conformance study was completed on behalf of Lifetime and the master developer. Lifetime, along with several other proposed uses within PA6, represent significant departures from prior assumptions that were evaluated in the outdated Clear Creek Crossing Master TIS. The most impactful trip generation change to the study was the elimination of a discount superstore and gas station. As a result of these updates, trip generation was reduced by approximately 47%. The study further indicated that the proposed Lifetime traffic can be accommodated with access as proposed. Lifetime has developed a plan to provide strong pedestrian and bike connections throughout the site and to the surrounding infrastructure. Consistent with the guiding documents, access has been provided to Clear Creek Drive to the south, adjacent to the southern access drive. Access to the north is provided by the Block 4 internal road corridor through PA6 and connects with the larger pedestrian network located at the 40th Avenue intersection. A trailhead plaza with a direct stair connection to the future regional trail will be constructed at the northwest corner of the Lifetime site. Details for the trailhead plaza will be coordinated with the master developer as the trail plans progress. Additionally, an accessible at-grade sidewalk connection will extend north of the site for future connection to the trail through the remainder of PA6. This connection will be constructed by the master developer as the remainder of PA6 develops. Internally, the site has been designed for safe travel of bicyclists, pedestrians, and vehicles with designated areas to minimize conflicts. Internal sidewalk networks were designed to funnel pedestrians to defined crossings of the main driveway. Where pedestrian ways cross vehicular driveways, a combination of differentiated pavements and painted crosswalks will be used to alert drivers and to calm traffic. A zero curb pedestrian level crossing is proposed at the main entrance to allow for safe, accessible access to the parking lot and to the site pedestrian network. The area adjacent to the front of the building has been activated with outdoor seating, trellis elements, walls, landscaping, and enhanced concrete pavements to embrace the modern agrarian theme of the development. The site perimeter and parking lot landscape and design centers around large alternating bands of drought-tolerant native grasses, native prairies, and landscape screening beds at the perimeter of the site to complement the design theme of the guiding documents. In addition to the required 20-foot landscape screening buffer for the residential boundary to the south, large rolling hillsides were incorporated into the site, providing over 40% of landscape space. These large landscape buffers were purposely located to enhance the transition from the residential uses to the south. In contrast, landscapes surrounding the building and within the outdoor amenity deck feature formal planting beds, boulder outcroppings, and site furnishings aimed at grounding the building and complementing the site's agrarian architectural theme. Through thoughtful collaboration with city staff, the master developer, and the architectural control committee, our building design has evolved tremendously over the course of the application. We heard consistent feedback that while impressive, the contemporary porcelain-clad facade of our flagship J3 prototype was not a direct fit for the modern agrarian styling of the development. Lifetime completely redesigned the material shell of the building and eliminated the contemporary porcelain cladding that dominated the initial elevations. In its place, Lifetime introduced a palette of natural limestone, field brick with earth tone accent courses, bronze metal paneling, glazing, and contrasting neatness. The end result of this redesigned effort is a building we are extremely proud of and undoubtedly represents the Lifetime brand and the design theme of the Clear Creek Crossing development. The timeless quality materials chosen are the perfect blend of modern agrarian architecture and Lifetime's luxury brand. careful consideration was made to emphasize large-scale identifying stone elements on the public-facing east and west elevations. A variety of color and texture is used, with more tactile materials near the structure base and corners to give the building a sense of venerability when close up. Higher on the building, elements become more pronounced for visibility from a greater distance. Lifetime is truly thrilled with the final product and its cohesiveness with the surrounding development. The entire Lifetime property development team and I would like to thank the tireless city staff, Architectural Control Committee, Evergreen Development Company, and the neighborhood for providing thoughtful and meaningful input throughout the application process. To the members of the Planning Commission, we are extremely grateful to have our application heard, and we are happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have about the application materials for the Lifetime brand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Modro. I would now like to poll our commissioners for questions and ask the commissioners hold their comments until after the public forum. And tonight we'll start with Commissioner Disney. Do you have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I do not.
Okay, and Commissioner Antal.
Just wondering, do you have any kind of renderings of the back of the property that shows the amenity deck and how that interfaces against the neighborhood?
So I do have one from the trail corridor. Let me see. I don't have one that views directly on the amenity deck. It's the same one that Stephanie had in the staff presentation. One up though.
It kind of shows like the fencing. Since it's going to be below it, the perspective doesn't really show the actual, if you're right up next to the fence. I can show you though again for.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of guessed that. I guess I'm curious again, what's the feet and the percent grade? Okay, so you could see the top of, I would assume that's like an umbrella or pergola is what I see on the left.
Yep, to the left are cabanas or seating, lounge seating for the pool, and then to the right you see the water slide. And what's unique here is we're sitting about 20 or 15 feet or so below the amenity deck at the trail, but the residents to the east are another, I think there's 55 feet across of grade change across the site, so they sit 25, 30 feet above the amenity deck as well. So they have a perspective view that looks significantly down on the building.
Okay, and just to clarify, I know what 20% is required. You're doing landscaping instead of a retaining wall. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have introduced 2 to 3 foot single outcropping boulder walls to break up the slope in a handful of areas where we couldn't quite get to a 4-to-1 grade percentage. Mm-hmm. So in those areas to break up the landscape and slope, we added some small single course retaining walls. And those are primarily on the adjacent to the southwestern side of the site, near the parking lot and the south side of the pool deck.
And is there any way for the neighbors to access the site? Just thinking of connectivity, instead of neighbors having to go all the way around and access the site, if they wanted to walk from their neighborhood to Lifetime Fitness, is there any kind of pedestrian connection that way?
Yeah. Excuse me, let me share my screen real quickly, if that's okay. And I just have to clear out of the PowerPoint quickly.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes the plans are hard to navigate with the size, so.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and Commissioner Antal, the trail that lies, so there's right now kind of an informal trail that comes from the neighborhood on the southwest side. That'll be formalized and come across the Coors Pond property on the
Okay, yeah, I kind of
like
saw
west
something.
side.
but is that inside Coors property or is it outside that fence?
It's both. So Jefferson, so Prospect Parks is going to be constructing a portion of the trail that's off the Lifetime site. And then as sites develop here on this west side, we'll be requiring it prior to certificate of occupancy. So the trail network all lies on that west side, all the way up the corridor.
Okay, yeah, and that's the piece where you just had the arrow I was wondering about. I mean, I understand where currently Clear Creek Trail is and future connections, but more this part on near Coors Pond and the neighborhood. So that will eventually, it's informal now, but eventually will be built out.
In addition,
ahead.
33rd has a break in the fence that's been there historically. So folks in that neighborhood don't have to go all the way down to 32nd and then back up. That break in the fence was retained. So that can be a pedestrian path, not a vehicular path, but a pedestrian path. It pops you out like right at La Quinta.
Okay, and then just one last question. I assume because we didn't get any neighborhood comments, you know, I know sometimes pools that have families can get a little loud sometimes if they're anything like my nephew's, but there was a neighborhood meeting or opportunity. You noticed the neighborhoods and we didn't really receive any feedback, correct?
Well, we met with the neighbors, and the site plan did go through some iterations where the building actually shifted about 20 to 25 feet north along with the outdoor amenity deck. What that did is allowed us, you know, without having large retaining walls, it allowed some natural separation. Pool deck is also set into the grades. Let me pull up the SDP set with the grading, and that kind of shows that depth. These are our 2-foot contours. Our closest neighbor here in Roxbury Gardens sits well above the pool deck. You can see significant grade change. I think these are 1-foot contours on the neighbor's property. So there's about 20 feet of fall through their property, and then another 12 or so feet at this point to the pool deck. So there's a significant distance from them. The other feedback we heard was proximity of this driveway to the residential neighborhood. There used to be a more serpentine approach to the site that kind of traversed the site. And that, what we did is we pulled that back so it aligns more with the 70 West Business Center property line and comes to the front of the building. So it really eliminated the frontage of that driveway from that development.
Okay, great, thank you. I know we're not supposed to do comments yet, but I do think the grade changes will help to buffer some of that noise as well as the site improvements. So thank you for going over that.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Antle, and we will go to Commissioner Kearns.
Why the stairway connection to the trail?
So in the guiding documents, we needed to show a connection kind of mid-block of PA5 or PA6 to the trail. What this allows is we're working with Evergreen, the master developer, to put a kind of a trailhead plaza to show kind of a point of entry from the southwest here to our site. So there's a stair connection here. And then let me pull up that illustrative plan.
But why not an ADA accessible way to the tree?
The plan here
I see the future design, but that's just kicking the can down the road. Why not build an ADA accessible connection to the trail with this development?
So what's been focused on is making that connection where it makes sense with the grade, and that at-grade connection would fall along the remainder of PA6. We will be working closely with Evergreen on the trail final design and the plaza, but the intent is that you have an at-grade connection that's going to be used by the entirety of PA6, and then along with the Trailhead Plaza area. There'd be multiple switchbacks to go down 12, 15 feet of grade directly from the pool deck area down to the trail in that location.
Well,
It looks like it's it looks like it's getting kicked down the road because it's getting pushed onto the vacant site, but the trail is actually a requirement of the development as a whole and will be built not piecemeal, but sort of all at once by Evergreen. So we're trying to consider direct and accessible connections through that entire trail segment, stretching from the Lifetime property all the way up and around to the Hampton property.
But the ADA accessible trail segment won't be built until that property to the north is developed, correct?
No, it will all get built at the same time so that it's one consistent trail construction.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, and Evergreen is also here if they wanted to speak to that when it comes to the right time for that.
There won't be a requirement, Commissioner Kearns, to have ADA accessibility on each parcel to that trail.
So the at-grade trail design looks like segment 10 is not going to be ADA compliant.
Sorry, I muted while I had a cough there. No, that's the intent, that the number 10 will be an ADA compliant access.
Okay.
It's hard to see in here. You can see the overlot grading and how Lifetime site is relatively flat, but it takes off. These are 2-foot contours as you head north towards the hotel. So the anticipation is that there'll be an at-grade connection and then another future plaza area at that at-grade location.
Okay.
So you have 2 points of access, one that traverses directly up at the Lifetime site, and then the ADA access that goes along the corridor of the trail.
Okay. So it looks like all of your sidewalks and trail connections on this property are capable of being plowed by a vehicle, except for that stairway, which will have to be shoveled by hand and will probably get icy in the winter and could be dangerous if you're really looking at the scheme of things. So are you prepared to take on that maintenance of that stairway and that liability of risk?
You know, what's helpful is that plaza area is going to be front and center of that area as well. So it's not a piece of infrastructure that I anticipate will get forgotten as the trail is plowed. Because it will be, I anticipate, we're excited about it, that use is high visibility and main access for our members coming from those different pedestrian locations.
Does the stairway have a handrail?
So the stairway isn't at final design because of the plaza design. So that's something, because the final grading the trail isn't complete yet. So we plan to incorporate, it's not going to necessarily be in this exact orientation or location, because we want to have that engaged with the plaza as well.
Okay. The parking lot seems really, really large. I did a quick count. I counted 500 spaces plus about 11 ADA spaces. Is that just a design that does Lifetime dictate how large the parking lot needs to be, or does the city of Wheat Ridge dictate how large the parking lot needs to be?
Yeah, so both. It's a function of there's a parking analysis that we did that's driven by code, and then based on our programming as well. So we're right in a location that Lifetime is comfortable with multiple parking studies and similar buildings. We have, this will be our 8th in the Denver market. So we take a look at similar club size for parking demand. So it's based on membership projections, as well as we do meet city requirements as well.
It just, when I look at this, it looks like one of those mall parking lots that operates at around 25 to 30% capacity most of the year, except for about 1 week a year where it operates at about 65% capacity, but it's always overbuilt. And to me, the lots on the south side of the property seem unnecessary. These are the lots by numbers 2 and 3. I don't think you need those. Now, look, I'm no expert. This is just my looking at it. I haven't done any calculations, but it seems like that lot, those southern lots seem to be just taking up extra space that could be a developable property otherwise. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to park down there and walk all the way to the building. I mean, maybe on the week after New Year's, but
yeah. So we have anywhere from 50 to 75 employees, and there's our parking demand based on peak hour usage. So you have your habitual users, that sounds, our habitual members that come, but we see multiple peaks during the day. You have your members coming in before work, and then there's typically also a peak just after school drop off, in that 9 to 10 o'clock hour after the morning. And then again, there's another peak after the evening peak hour rush when people are heading home and hitting the clubs. But we have 150 operating clubs, and then 8 in the Denver area that really drive those parking numbers. Yeah. So it's really a function of our usage. And then another thing is it's the scale of the buildings. You have a cafe, a bar, a spa, all sorts of programming in one use. So it's a pretty diverse use that we spent quite a bit of time with our parking studies analysis, and it's really broken down by the size of the building and the membership projections.
Okay. And I mean, the pool deck area looks great, and it seems like it would be a big attractor in the summer. That thing might fill up. All those seats I could see being filled up by members during the day. So that looks like it probably seats 300 people or more. It seems like a really large parking lot. I feel like maybe that could have been another development area, but look, if that's what you need, that's what you need. And one last question, is Lifetime Fitness open 24 hours, or do you guys close?
Yeah, so some of our clubs are open 24 hours. This one, we plan to be open closer to 4 a.m. to midnight. And the reason why we have those longer hours is to accommodate busy working schedules, especially with the hospital adjacent here. We have people working later shifts. So they're open from 4 a.m. to midnight.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kearns. We'll go to Commissioner Simbai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for Stephanie. In one of the conditions, we talked about periodic inspection of the grading. Did you have an idea of what periodic means?
Yeah, it'll most likely be right when the grading's happening, before the landscape goes in, before the irrigation goes in. We just want to monitor the situation just to make sure we don't get steeper slopes than what's allowed by our code, because it could be an easy mishap to not follow this exactly right. So we want to just make sure that it meets code at the end.
It's something that we should be very specific with in the conditions?
So we are doing a development agreement also that's associated with this. They're actually kind of working through the grades, trying to get there before, like through their civil construction drawing review, to try to get there where we don't have to really do periodic inspections, but just in case we have added that condition. But we will specify like when those are going to happen exactly in the development agreement.
And for Dave, you know, just in terms of the pandemic effects of fitness, you know, this is a big facility. I mean, how do you take that into account? Or is it something that you've looked at, and can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, Lifetime in over 25 years has never closed one of our prototype facilities, so we've had great success. When the pandemic hit, every single one of our clubs were shut down. We took some pretty quick actions to mitigate that, and through the actions of our CEO, we came out in a really good place. And Lifetime did go, but in a great place, and showing a growth strategy to our investors. And Lifetime also recently went public as well. So we're set up in a great situation. Some of our deals, including this one, were paused just for that shutdown period, but we're in a great position and looking at markets in Denver. We're under contract in Castle Pines as well, and you know we're showing a great deal of interest from developers and a great growth story. So I would say we came out great coming out of the pandemic.
And I apologize, I didn't do a lot of research on Lifetime ahead of time. And what does a membership sort of look like? Can you talk a little bit about your membership levels and things like that?
Yeah. So right now, you know, we're planning on an early 2024 grand opening at this time. So, but right now, if we were to open a single membership, you can. There's all sorts of different levels of memberships, but a single membership starts at around $129 a month at this time. And that can go up when you add different signature programming. There's specific group fitness classes that have a different level of membership rates. And then as you add on family members, there's junior memberships for those that are under 13. And then you can build a membership for multiple people as well. So it starts at $129 and goes up as you add different access opportunities and family members.
Last question, and the sort of that base model at $129, does that give you, for all intents and purposes, access to the fitness center, the pool, and all of that? And then some of the programming you mentioned, that's additional? Yeah.
So that gives you access to the majority of the classes, all the pool amenities, things like swimming lessons are additional. There's a couple, they call them signature classes, they're called Alpha or GTX, that are group training efforts that have kind of progressive training with heart rate and interval training. So there are classes that are included in the base membership, and then there's signature programming that's also included at either at this other membership level. And then the child care facilities are included as well in the base package.
Very much. No more questions for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Simbai, and we'll go to Commissioner Leo.
Yeah, Commissioner Simbai kind of touched on what I was going to ask, but is this something that you have to be a member monthly? You have to have a membership annually, or can people? Can there be drop-in and people pay for service? How does it normally work with this?
Yeah, so So it's typically a monthly membership. If there are long pauses in your membership, they typically allow a certain time frame where you can pause that membership. I do believe there's single day memberships, but that's obviously not the most economical way to visit the club. We do also have amenities that are open to the public, like the spa, where you have hair, nails, skin treatments, massage. Those are all open to the public. You check in at the front desk, but you can visit the spa. And then same with the Life Cafe and the Life Cafe bar and coffee bar. All those amenities are open to the public. And those are at the front of the building where we have, it's all on the first floor, the cafe, the coffee bar, and the spa are on that first level. So they're activated kind of at that pedestrian level as public amenities as well.
Okay. Also, do you have you done a study of potential people in the area? What I'm trying to think how to say this. What radius have you studied in order to know that this will be something that is available to a large part of the population?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a relatively robust property intelligence team that looks at drive times, demographics. I sat through a strategy meeting just this afternoon, and I'm wowed by the analytics that we're able to look at. So each one of our sites is really, there's a great attention to detail to the demographics, drive times, and access. So as I was alluding to earlier, we have, of our over 150 prototype clubs, we haven't had to close one in 25 years. So we're very particular about our site selection, and extremely excited about this particular site and demographic.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm thinking, when you talk about New York City and things like that, you have a much denser population. So how far do you think you would pull people to come to this site? 5 mile, 10 mile, 20 mile? How far do you think they would travel to come here?
So we look at drive times, and it's typically in that 10 to 15 minute drive time window. Another thing to note about the density, Minneapolis, St. Paul, I'm sorry, that's one question to my partner here. How many clubs do we have in Minneapolis, St. Paul? 20. So we have 24 open clubs in the Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is a similar size metro area to the Denver market. So there's significant growth potential. Even outside of the Castle Pines project, we're looking at multiple locations in the Denver area. So it's a combination of demographics, drive times that we really focus on.
So you think that you have the density that would support this?
Yeah, density and growth potential. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Great. And one other thing that's great about this particular location is the hospital and the workforce that we anticipate coming in, a high level of usage there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. And to conclude the questions segment, I just have a couple. One is on Lifetime as a company. The other one has to do with the site. And to follow on Commissioner Leo's questions regarding your members and membership and where that comes from, I did just a real quick Google of the area, and I found that there are at least 18 other gyms and fitness centers within a 5 mile radius. The company, I'm not going to say that Lifetime is any way comparable to something like Planet Fitness, but Planet Fitness has 15 gyms within 15 miles of this location. Is there any concern? You talked about growth. Is there any concern that although there's a specific brand for Life Time and probably a more of a specific demographic that you guys are looking at, is there a concern over market saturation in an area like Wheat Ridge?
You know, yeah, the simple answer is no, because you know it's you really can't avoid competition in the fitness industry. You know, it's a $35 billion industry in fitness clubs, but Lifetime's carved out a niche of high-end resorts. These outdoor amenity decks are really second to none, and it's that resort and country club atmosphere. But the other interesting thing is the fitness industry is pretty fragmented. You know, the 10 biggest players in the industry really represent only about 1/3 of the market share. So it's something we look at, but it's not a concern. It's something we're very used to going into markets because there is a large presence, and like I said, you can't avoid competition, but it's something that we embrace.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Madro. And just following up to some of the discussion earlier on the contours and the grading and whatnot, if you wouldn't mind pulling that contour map up again, and I'm trying my best to get a better understanding, but if I read this correctly, the general contour of the area flows from south to north, and so the residential area to the southwest is higher up, but you have created in the parking lots and the building itself a flat area with contours around the side. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, so it sits, all of PA6 kind of sits in a bowl. The residential sits well above and 70WC well above our site. So everything falls south to north. These two parking fields kind of south of the building have manageable grades of a 4 to 5% parking lots. And then the area right out inside of the building flattens out. And then you fall into Coors Pond. But that's right, from Clear Creek Drive and all our boundary to the south and southwest, where the site kind of sits in a bowl. So it funnels to our site.
All right.
And then you see this driveway traverses that slope, and then you have this grand entry feel of these landscape buffers where the driveway sits above the parking garage. I'm sorry, not parking garage, the parking lots. But then everything, yeah, the building sits about 15 to 20 feet below the hook ramps, and then you fall another 15 to 20 feet towards the Coors Pond. So
and you did have a view, you don't have to put it up, but you had a view looking west from the hook ramp, and it appeared that the entire area, all the parking lots, the building, are below the grade of Clear Creek Drive and the hook ramp exit. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And when you enter from the South Drive and you come through that entrance in the south, and then you head north along the internal drive there, does that road have a grade on it, or is that flat?
That is where we make up all the grade difference. So Clear Creek Drive, as you are heading north, falls significantly from 70 WBC. You can see the grade contours. It falls at about probably around 5. I can't recall if these are 1 or 2 foot contours, but it falls from south to north. And our drive aisle also mimics that, but takes on that additional 10 to 15 feet. So It's level at the access to 70 WBC, and then you fall at about an 8% grade into the site to our front door. So it flattens out in the area at the lower parking lots.
Is there any concern about snow and ice on that grade?
So 8% is about, is kind of a design standard. You want to keep drives below 8%. So we went through multiple iterations of trying to switch this back and do different. This is the best combination of landscape buffers and grading balance for the site. So, but the answer is no. Well, you will want to keep it clean and plowed, but 8% is kind of that is one of those civil engineering design guidelines you want to stay within. And then parking lots, you want to stay under 5%. And these are all at about 4.5% to 5% on these upper parking lots.
Okay. And then just one more question about the parking lots. The stormwater runoff goes which direction, and how is it collected?
Yeah, so there's two main stormwater collection points. There's a stormwater bypass system that really takes a lot of the Jefferson County runoff from the south. And so there's a storm sewer diversion system and a swale that carries runoff from our south around Coors Pond. There's an interceptor ditch that's been built by the master developer. So that takes offsite runoff to the south. And then our stormwater is collected via internal storm drains, and that the main drive, that's a utility corridor that'll be built by the developer, brings in a trunk storm sewer line, and all of the stormwater management is done on the northeast side of Clear Creek Crossing. So there'll be I don't know how fast it's reloading for you. Can you see the colored illustrative now?
Yeah, yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so there'll be our stormwater is all collected in sewer, brought to a central point at our access drive, and that's carried through the internal drive to a holding pond that's been constructed on the northeast quadrant here of Clear Creek Drive.
Great. And so is there any concern that eventually when the rest of PA6 is developed that there will be sufficient capacity?
No, and a big part of that is we've added, we have 40% landscape space really due to these large landscape buffers. So we're putting together our stormwater management compliance letter that works with the overall drainage pattern. But since there were pretty high intense uses in the initial stormwater study, we show a lot more pervious area that has less intense runoff implications. Okay. But that's all put together with the master drainage plan too, and that'll be evaluated with our construction documents.
Thank you, Mr. Modro. Those are all the questions I have. I will go back to our commissioners for any follow-up questions. Commissioner Disney, a follow-up?
No questions.
And Commissioner Antle, follow-up?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kearns, is there a follow-up question?
No questions, thanks.
Commissioner Simbai, follow-up?
Additional questions, thank you.
And Commissioner Leo, anything else?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we will now open the public forum for case number WZ2113. This is an application filed by Lifetime Inc. for approval of a specific development plan for property zoned planned mixed use development located at Clear Creek Crossing. We ask that you please limit your comments to this case. Now, we typically administer an oath for any participant in a public hearing, staff, applicants, and the public. In this virtual meeting format, we're administering that oath in a different way. If you comment during a public hearing tonight, by choosing to testify, you are agreeing that the testimony you give will be the truth as you know it. If you are interested in speaking on this case, please raise your hand using the raise your hand button on the Zoom screen. If you wish to speak over the telephone, please press *9. For this case, we did receive one comment on Wheat Ridge Speaks. Does this comment need to be read into the record?
No, it does not.
Okay. Are there any people online that would like to speak? Please raise your hand.
I am showing one person. I am allowing them to talk, Mr. Tyler Carlson. If you'd like to speak, you can. And please
Yes.
give your spelling of your last name and your address, please.
No problem. Tyler Carlson, last name spelled Carlson. And my address is 1873 South Bel Air Street, Suite 1200, Denver, Colorado, 80222. And my comment tonight, I know many of you, I'm the managing partner at Evergreen Development. We're the master developer of Clear Creek Crossing and the seller of the subject property to Lifetime Fitness. And we just want to express our full support for the Lifetime application this evening. We've worked very closely with them for going on now almost 9 months or 9 to 12 months to get this design right. It's a very tricky piece of real estate within our master plan because of the topography and because of the adjacency to the single family homes and the Prospect Trail. But we believe that through the give and take and design process with the city and with Lifetime and the neighbors, we've come up with the optimal layout, building design, and grading plan that balances all the various needs of the stakeholders and sets Lifetime up to be successful operationally, but also addresses some of the adjacent uses. So again, full support, very thankful for their team, and they'll be an important anchor tenant for our project. We feel very blessed to have a group like Lifetime in our project. They are a high class, top-notch operator. They're going to bring great families to the project that will hopefully also dine and shop at our other other businesses there in the master plan. And they've also engaged with SCL Health to collaborate with them on the fitness needs of their healthcare workers, at the future Lutheran campus. So again, grateful for the partnership, very supportive, and happy to answer any questions this evening the commissioners may have as it relates to the master plan. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Is there anyone else online that would like to speak?
I'm not seeing anybody so far. If you are on the phone and you would like to speak, please raise your hand by pressing *9. Currently, nobody else is raising their hand.
Okay, if there is no one else, I will close the public forum. And we will one more time poll our commissioners for comments or additional questions on this particular case. We'll start with Commissioner Disney.
I am, very much in favor of this development. I attended a meeting many years ago that was held at City Hall, and it was during a city council meeting, and it was talking about anchor developments and who fits into these and why they like to be where they are. And one of them was being situated next to a major highway, an interstate. So I have no concerns about Lifetime being able to maintain their business because they are situated so closely to I-70. We have people that are going to be visiting from Golden, Arvada, Denver, people passing through. It's an ideal location for something like this. And kudos to Stephanie for putting together such a complete presentation. I can tell you put a lot of work into it. I think it's exciting. There are a lot of health clubs in this community, but there's nothing quite like this one. And I think we're very lucky as a community to have something of this caliber and this scale. And I can tell that there was a lot of thought put into situating this on the site such as they did, because it is very tricky. And I think it's a fantastic development. I think this is shaping up to be a really cool parcel for us in terms of what's planned for future development, and it'll fit right in. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Disney. Commissioner Antal.
Once again, I find myself very aligned with Commissioner Disney in terms of thinking of, you know, what we should want and should strive for in our community. I do think this is a different type of facility that will really add to kind of the character and the quality of life. I really appreciated, I think it was Tyler, your comments, as someone who has seen sometimes how the inside of working with developers can work and getting all your entitlements in place. I was really pleased to see kind of the results of that close collaboration that you spoke with, you know, thinking about making those trail connections, how you orient the site, being creative about how to make use of the topography that also creates kind of a more natural experience in an area where I think that's just going to add to the appeal of this site. Even though you are adjacent to a highway, you kind of have this whole other, I guess, 2/3 of the site that basically you can capitalize on because of the improvements I'm seeing. I also appreciated the flexibility you had in your designs. I know in the past, developers haven't wanted to be flexible in kind of the architectural detail and have kind of pushed back on even the building materials. So I was glad to see that you're really trying to stay true to kind of the pattern book that's been established for this area. So just want to echo, you know, feel like this was really well thought out and excited. You got me really excited when you said spa treatments and lounge. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Antal. Commissioner Kearns.
This looks like an incredible facility. I think this is a tremendous asset to the community, and it just looks great. It looks incredibly attractive. It's high quality. It's everything we want. David, you did a great job with me busting your chops about ADA access and parking lot size. Good job with the questions. You know, I'm just trying to make sure that this facility functions as well as possible, and that we're making as efficient use of our land as possible. So thank you very much, and I'm excited. I'll be voting yes for this.
Thank you, Commissioner Kearns. Commissioner Sembai.
I echo my fellow commissioners. This is a great looking project. I appreciate the work that was put into it, the back and forth that happened before it got to us. And appreciate that there's some public options there for people to go, and especially appreciate you thinking about the hospital and their staff too, how they could incorporate that. So like what you've done, and I would echo what Commissioner Kern said. You had great answers to our questions, Mr. Madro, so appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Sembai. Commissioner Leo.
Yeah, so I agree with everything that's been said by everyone. My feeling is that it'll fit really well in that whole Clear Creek Crossing area. When it's all put together, it's gonna be a big piece of it. So that, and my one concern was that it would be available, wouldn't have to be an annual membership, that people could use it who, you know, didn't have the means to have an annual membership. That's one of the concerns that I had. But yes, think it's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. And I will add, I very much support this project. I think it is certainly gotten off to the right foot and then hit its stride shortly after that. We look forward to seeing the finished product. And I believe you said it'd be in about 1.5 years or so. And I guess these sorts of things do take time to get it right. I appreciate that. I'd like to also comment about how much of a long way we've come from back in the day when there was a single big box operator looking to take in that site, and there were complaints and social media was on fire because everybody did not want that thing to go in there. And I think what we found here tonight is a very, very credible and viable anchor for Clear Creek Crossing. When you come off, the thing that I was impressed most, and that's why I was pressing you on the contours, that when you exit on the hook ramp and you see directly across the street right in front of you, the building is lower by, I think you said maybe 10 feet or so. And so you're not looking right flat across a parking lot, you're looking at the tops of the trees. Many of the cars closer to the east will be below grade, so you won't see them. It has the effect of shortening up the view that you have, making it seem like the building is closer to the street, making it seem like there isn't a big parking lot right there. And I think that took a lot of forethought, and I really appreciate how you guys were able to work with the contours and create something that is really going to be a very strong addition and again, a viable anchor for Clear Creek Crossing. I will also be supporting this, and we appreciate your time and your patience with our questions. So with that, if there are no other questions or comments, we will call for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion. So I move to approve case number WZ-21-13, a request for approval of a specific development plan for a lifetime fitness facility on property located at 3501 Clear Creek Drive within the planning areas 5 and 6 of the Clear Creek Crossing planned mixed-use development for the following reasons. Number one, the specific development plan is consistent with the purpose of a planned development as stated in section 26-301 of the Code of Laws. Number two, the specific development plan is consistent with the intent and purpose of the outline development plan. Number three, the proposed uses are consistent with those approved by the outline development plan. Number four, all responding agencies have indicated they can serve the property with improvements installed at the developer's expense. And then finally, number five, the specific development plan is in substantial compliance with the applicable standards set forth in the outline development plan and with the city's adopted design manuals. This is subject to the following conditions. Number one, staff to verify consistency between the SDP and the plat prior to recording. And secondly, that periodic inspections of grading shall be required during construction to ensure a rolling hill effect is achieved. If determined by engineering as needed during inspections, stacked boulders or similar shall be incorporated to avoid steep slopes.
Thank you, Commissioner Antal. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Disney. Are there any other comments or questions before we call for a vote? Seeing none, I will ask for a vote on this. Raise your hand to approve the motion.
Motion approved 6-0.
Thank you, Tammy. And we will now move on to new business for the evening. First, I'd like to note that at our meeting in October, two members of our commission asked to step down from the Planning Commission. Since then, we have been meeting with 6 commissioners. I commend Commissioners Antle, Commissioners Disney, Kearns, Leo, and Simbai for their dedication over the past 3 months. In regarding commissioners and the number of commissioners, is there an announcement this evening?
No, so board and commission appointments will be conducted by City Council for all boards and commissions on Monday, February 28th.
Okay. And we will find out who our new fellow commissioners will be at that time.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other new business that we'd like to discuss or we need to discuss this evening?
Just a couple updates from staff. So dates wise, we will have the meeting on March 3rd. It'll actually be another Clear Creek Crossing project, the SDP for the second phase of apartments. We're still waiting to see if we'll have anything on March 17th, but we'll certainly let you know as soon as we do. In terms of project updates, the 44th Avenue Subarea Plan has officially begun. We've had a meeting with the advisory committee, several focus group meetings, and next Wednesday, we have our first public meeting. It's at the Rec Center. It's actually a joint meeting between 44th and the Let's Talk program for the Fruitdale and Anderson Park neighborhoods. So it'll be an open house format at the Rec Center, 4:30 to 6:30. For those who can't make it, there will be the same activities and content available online for a period of time. Also at the Rec Center, we have a new electric vehicle charging station. You might have seen that in the Mayor's Matters, but we now have 2 EV stations at the Rec Center and 2 at City Hall open to the public. I think it's only $1 an hour to charge. So that's fun. We got some grant funds to do that. I don't have any update on Lucky's. And the last thing I just wanted to do is to thank Commissioner Simbai for his service. This will be his last meeting, and I think I speak for all of staff, and I'm sure for commissioners that it's been a pleasure to have you on the board.
Thank you, Commissioner Simbai.
Thank you.
It's hard to believe it's gone so fast. I mean, you get started and then kind of march through, and no telling, I might put my hat in the ring again, but definitely happy to make it to the end of this term without getting kicked out by Sarah or Lauren or anybody like that. So pleasure serving with all of you, and I wish you all the best moving forward. Thank you for all the hard work, and all the best.
Thank you.
Good luck, Jahi.
Thank you.
And I did have, on this last study session for City Council, there was a comment entered regarding a possible development at the very, very far northwest edge of the city, 54th and Miller. I have not seen anything on that. I wasn't even aware of that until I heard the comment during the City Council meeting. Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about what that involves?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a cart before the horse situation. So at a study session about a month ago, the Foothills Regional Housing, previously known as Jefferson County Housing Authority, made a request to City Council, as they've done in years past, for the city's allocation of private activity bonds, which is a financing tool for affordable housing. In their request letter, they had described 2 potential projects that they'd think about submitting the bonds on, which included that property that you mentioned. They had described it in enough detail that folks realized that they were probably talking about the property at Ridge and Miller. It's a state-owned property. Housing Authority doesn't control that property. It's just a piece of land that they would be interested in. And that created a bit of an uproar and reaction. So the city manager sent out an email to the HOA of Skyline Estates and to the 35 residents who commented during the original study session to let them know that there is no specific plan. That has long been state-owned property. There's a mental health residential facility there. It is partially vacant and partially vacant land, partially abandoned buildings, and partially a residential treatment facility of some kind. I'm not super familiar with the site. It's owned agriculturally, so if or when anybody were to develop there, the housing authority or anyone else, it would need to go through a zone change. It would need to go through a plat. So there is nothing, we haven't had any pre-apps or any applications of any kind. That is what they were reacting to. And since then, the Housing Authority has decided to request the public activity bonds to go towards the Caesar Square redevelopment project, which is in the north side of the city, and they've invested significantly in that property to do some upgrades on the individual units, the core and shell of the apartment units, and to build a new clubhouse.
Thank you, Lauren. I
Yeah.
do appreciate that. But believe me, those public assistance funds are certainly being put to good use. I live very close to the Caesar Square development, and the results of that investment are visible, frankly. And
Yeah.
that entire development complex is greatly improved.
Yeah, that was a big project.
And so, yeah, I offer my compliments on that. I guess just a general question on that big parcel at 4600 Kipling. Their signs are up. They have cleaned up the property of trash and whatnot and dead trees. Any news on that one?
So they have an active subdivision application to essentially divide. It's made up of several parcels, sort of illogical lot lines right now. So we're in the process of reviewing a subdivision to create public street, east-west oriented public street in the middle, and then a north half and a south half. Once we get that subdivision, it'll come to Planning Commission and Council because it includes a full width public street segment. And then the individual sites would have site plan review administratively. One of the things that they've run into recently, as I understand it, is just trying to understand that there's enough downstream sanitary sewer capacity. So I think they're working with that special district at this point in time. I don't know what the timeline would be for the hearing for the plat.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, we look forward to it because that seems to be one of the last big developable parcels along one of our main corridors.
It's an out-of-state owner, so I don't know sort of where this property falls on their priority list compared to what else they might be doing. So they've owned it for decades, and slowly moving forward.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Stephanie as well. I think she did a wonderful job on pulling that presentation together. And thank the applicant as well.
Thank you.
They've done a really, really good job of addressing the concerns and presenting us with something that we can work with. Are there any other comments from the commission tonight?
Yes. Is there any more news on gold? Anything going on there?
In terms of the tenant mix?
Yeah.
A couple of new tenants that we are aware of: a coffee shop, a running store. The bowling alley wants to open, I think, as a brew pub. I'm forgetting all the others.
Illegal Pete's.
Illegal Pete's. That was the newest one that we heard about. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming together.
Nothing on the actual market on that building.
I don't know which of those, if it's maybe the brew pub that's going into the market side. I can't remember which is which. An ice cream shop, that permit came in this week. That'll be in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. If there are no other comments, we will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
And please raise your hand if you approve the motion.
Motion approved, 6-0.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.